Captain Rodriguez had been hunting space junk for 15 years, but nothing had prepared him for what his crew found that cold Tuesday morning in Sector 7. His salvaged ship, the Iron Hawk, was cruising through the outer edges of the galaxy when his scanner operator, a young woman named Casey, nearly jumped out of her seat. "Captain, you need to see this," Casey called out, her voice shaking with excitement. "There's something massive out there, and it's not showing up on any of our databases." Rodriguez walked over to Casey's station and looked at the screen. What he saw made his heart skip a beat. Floating in the darkness of space was a ship unlike anything he'd ever encountered. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest military vessels he'd seen. The hull was made of some kind of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. "Run a full scan," Rodriguez ordered. "I want to know everything about this thing." As the Iron Hawk's computers worked to analyze the mysterious vessel, Rodriguez couldn't shake the feeling that they'd stumbled onto something dangerous. His instincts had kept him alive in the salvage business for years, and right now, every alarm bell in his head was ringing. The scan results came back 20 minutes later, and they were more confusing than helpful. The ship appeared to be ancient, possibly thousands of years old, but its technology readings were off the charts. The metal it was made from didn't match anything in their databases. The energy signatures coming from inside suggested that the ship was still active despite floating dead in space. "Boss, I'm picking up something else," said Tommy, the ship's engineer. "There's debris all around this thing, lots of it. And it's not old space junk either. Some of this stuff looks recent." Rodriguez felt a chill run down his spine. "What kind of debris?" Tommy's face went pale as he studied his readings. "Ship parts, Captain, from at least a dozen different vessels. Maybe more, and they're from different alien species. Some of this wreckage is only a few months old." The captain stared at the mysterious ship floating before them. If Tommy was right, then this thing had been destroying other ships that got too close. But why was it just sitting there? Why hadn't it attacked them yet? "Casey, get me everything you can find about ships going missing in this sector," Rodriguez commanded, "and patch me through to the Galactic Registry. I want to know if anyone has reported finding something like this before." While his crew worked, Rodriguez couldn't take his eyes off the strange vessel. The more he looked at it, the more unsettled he became. The ship's design was unlike anything he'd seen from any known alien civilization. It didn't have the flowing curves of Centauri ships or the sharp angles of Krogan vessels. Instead, it had a design that somehow felt familiar, even though he was certain he'd never seen anything like it before. The search through the Galactic Registry took 3 hours, and what they found made everyone on the Iron Hawk very nervous. Over the past 1,000 years, 17 different alien civilizations had reported encounters with a ship matching this exact description. Every single encounter had ended the same way, with the alien ships being completely destroyed. The reports painted a terrifying picture. The mysterious ship, which various aliens had called the Deathbringer, the Silent Hunter, and the Destroyer, seemed to appear randomly throughout the galaxy. Whenever other ships tried to approach it, investigate it, or even communicate with it, the vessel would suddenly come to life with devastating results. The Vorthan Empire had lost an entire exploration fleet to it 300 years ago. The peaceful Melody had tried to make diplomatic contact 50 years back, only to watch their ambassador ship get vaporized in seconds. Even the mighty Krogan military had attempted to capture the vessel, sending their most powerful warships after it. None of them had survived. "Captain," Casey said quietly, "according to these reports, the ship has weapons that can tear through any known shielding. It moves faster than anything should be able to move. And worst of all, it seems to learn from each encounter, getting better at destroying whatever comes after it." Rodriguez rubbed his forehead, feeling a headache coming. His crew was looking at him, waiting for orders. The smart thing to do would be to mark the location and get as far away as possible. Let someone else deal with this nightmare. But something was bothering him about the whole situation. "Tommy, you said the debris field shows recent activity?" Rodriguez asked. Yes, sir. Some of those ship parts couldn't be more than a few weeks old. Then where is the ship that created that debris? According to these reports, this thing destroys everything that comes near it and then disappears. But it's still here. Why? The question hung in the air like a bad smell. Rodriguez walked to the main viewing window and stared at the mysterious vessel. It just sat there in space, dark and silent, like it was waiting for something. Maybe it's broken? Suggested Casey hopefully. Or maybe it's sleeping, Tommy added with a nervous laugh. Rodriguez didn't think either of those explanations felt right. Something about this whole situation was different from the other encounters. In every previous report, the ship had attacked immediately and then vanished. But here it was, just floating in space like it had all the time in the world. Casey, send a message to the research station on Kepler Prime, Rodriguez decided. Tell them we've found something that needs their attention. And make sure you mention that under no circumstances should they send any alien crews to investigate. Sir? Casey looked confused. Look at the pattern in these reports, Rodriguez explained. Every ship that got destroyed was crewed by aliens. Vorthons, Melody, Krogans, Zentari, all different species, but none of them human. Maybe that's not a coincidence. The idea seemed crazy even as he said it, but Rodriguez couldn't shake the feeling that he was onto something. Why would an ancient ship specifically target alien vessels? What could possibly make it so aggressive toward other species while seemingly ignoring his human crew? As the Iron Hawk maintained its distance from the mysterious vessel, Rodriguez found himself wondering about the ship's origins. Who had built something so advanced and so deadly? And why did it seem designed to destroy any alien presence while leaving humans untouched? The answers to those questions would have to wait for people much smarter than a salvage ship captain. But Rodriguez had a feeling that when those answers finally came, they would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. For now, all he could do was wait and watch, keeping his crew safe while the mysterious ship continued its silent vigil in the cold darkness of space. Whatever secrets it held, Rodriguez was certain of one thing. This was just the beginning of something much bigger and more dangerous than anyone could imagine. Dr. Elena Vasquez arrived at the research station 3 days after Captain Rodriguez's discovery, and she brought with her the best team of scientists the Galactic Research Council could assemble. Elena had spent her entire career studying ancient alien civilizations, but nothing in her experience had prepared her for what she was about to encounter. The moment Elena saw the data from Rodriguez's salvage ship, she knew this was the discovery of a lifetime. The mysterious vessel didn't match any known technology from the 17 major alien civilizations she'd studied. Its design patterns, energy signatures, and material composition were completely unique. But what really caught her attention was the pattern of destruction surrounding it. Show me the debris analysis again, Elena told her assistant, Dr. Chun. As they reviewed the data in the station's main laboratory, Chun pulled up the holographic display, showing the wreckage scattered around the unknown ship. We've identified remains from 43 different vessels spanning the last 800 years. The oldest pieces date back to when the Zentari first started exploring this sector. Elena walked around the hologram, studying each piece of debris carefully. What's the attack pattern? How does this ship choose its targets? That's where it gets interesting, Chun replied, highlighting different sections of the wreckage. Every single ship that was destroyed made some kind of approach toward the vessel. Some were trying to dock, others were just scanning from a distance, but they all had one thing in common. Which was? They were all crewed entirely by non-human species, Elena frowned. That can't be right. Humans have been exploring this sector for over 200 years. We must have encountered this ship before, Chun shook his head. I thought the same thing, so I checked every human exploration record I could find. Guess what? Not a single human ship has ever reported seeing this vessel, despite traveling through this exact area hundreds of times. The implications of this discovery sent chills down Elena's spine. Either this ship had an incredible ability to hide from human detection, or something even stranger was happening. Over the next week, Elena's team dove deeper into the mystery. They analyzed every piece of debris, studied every historical record, and interviewed survivors from species that had encountered the vessel. What they found painted a picture that defied all logic. The ship seemed to have an almost supernatural ability to detect the biological signatures of approaching vessels. The moment any alien crew got within scanning range, the mysterious ship would power up its weapon systems and attack with devastating precision. But the really disturbing part was how it fought. Look at this battle footage from the Krogan encounter. 50 years ago, Dr. Park, the team's military analyst, showed Elena a recovered recording. The Krogans sent their most advanced warship armed with quantum torpedoes and plasma shields. Watch what happens. In the recording, Elena could see the massive Krogan battlecruiser approaching the mysterious vessel. The moment it got within 1,000 kilometers, the unknown ship suddenly blazed to life. Weapon ports opened along its hull, and streams of energy unlike anything Elena had ever seen tore through the Krogan shields like they were made of paper. The Krogan ship tried to retreat, Park continued, but look at this. The mysterious vessel adapted its weapons mid-battle. When the Krogans switched to different shield frequencies, the ship immediately adjusted its attack patterns to match. Elena watched in horror as the powerful Krogan warship was systematically torn apart in less than 5 minutes. The mysterious vessel's weapons seemed to anticipate every defensive move the Krogans made. It's like the ship was designed specifically to counter alien technology, Elena whispered, but the mystery deepened when Elena's team discovered something even more puzzling. Hidden in the archived records of various alien governments, they found references to much older encounters with the ship. Some of these reports dated back over 2,000 years. The ancient Vorthan texts described their first encounter with what they called the Silent Punisher. According to their records, a Vorthan exploration fleet had discovered the ship drifting near a dead star system. When they tried to board it, the vessel had awakened and destroyed their entire fleet in minutes. But what caught Elena's attention was a small detail in the Vorthan report. Before attacking, the ship had sent out some kind of scanning beam that analyzed the Vorthan vessels for several minutes. Only after completing this scan did it begin its assault. It's studying them, Elena realized during a late-night research session. The ship isn't just randomly attacking, it's analyzing each alien species, learning about their technology, and then using that knowledge to destroy them more efficiently. Chun looked up from his computer terminal. That would explain why it keeps getting better at fighting different aliens. Each encounter teaches it something new. Elena stood up and walked to the window overlooking the research station's main hangar. In the distance, she could see the mysterious ship floating in space, dark and silent. But why? What could possibly motivate an ancient vessel to specifically target alien species while completely avoiding humans? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Kim, the team's linguist, had been working on translating some of the strange symbols visible on the ship's hull. Most alien writing systems followed certain patterns, but these symbols were different. They seemed almost familiar in a way that Kim couldn't explain. Elena, you need to see this, Kim called out excitedly after working for 3 straight days. I've been running these symbols through every alien language database we have, and I'm getting no matches. But when I tried something different, ... What? Did you try? I ran them through historical human language databases. Pre-space exploration records, ancient Earth languages, even extinct dialects. Kim's hands were shaking as she showed Elena her results. These symbols aren't alien at all. They're human, very old human, but definitely human. Elena felt the world shift around her. That's impossible. Humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. This ship is thousands of years old. I know how it sounds, Kim said, but look at the translation. The symbols near the ship's main docking bay say, "For the children of Earth," in a language that predates any known human space travel by millennia. The discovery changed everything. If Kim was right, then this wasn't an alien vessel at all. It was human technology from a time period that shouldn't exist. But how could humans have built something so advanced thousands of years before they even develop spaceflight? Elena spent the next several days grappling with the implications. Every piece of evidence pointed to the same impossible conclusion. The mysterious ship that had been terrorizing alien species for over 1,000 years was somehow connected to humanity's past. There's only one way to find out for sure, Elena finally told her team during their morning briefing. Someone needs to approach that ship. And based on everything we've learned, that someone needs to be human. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what Elena was suggesting was incredibly dangerous. Even if the ship didn't attack humans, there was no guarantee that anyone who boarded it would survive. But Elena had made up her mind. After weeks of studying the pattern of destruction, analyzing the debris, and piecing together the ship's history, she was convinced that this vessel held the key to understanding something fundamental about humanity's place in the galaxy. The mysterious ship continued its silent watch, waiting in the darkness of space. Whatever secrets it held, Elena was determined to uncover them, even if it meant risking everything. Elena's hands were shaking as she prepared for what could be the last decision of her life. The small shuttlecraft felt impossibly tiny compared to the massive research station around her, and even smaller when she thought about the ancient vessel waiting in the darkness of space. "This is completely insane," Dr. Chun said for the 10th time as he helped Elena run through the pre-flight checklist. "We have no idea what that ship will do when you get close. What if you're wrong about it not attacking humans?" Elena strapped herself into the pilot's seat and looked at her worried colleague. "Then you'll have your answer, and hopefully enough data to warn other humans to stay away." She tried to sound confident, but her voice betrayed her nervousness. The entire research team had spent 3 days trying to talk Elena out of her plan. They suggested sending a drone first, or at least waiting for military backup, but Elena knew that neither option would work. Drones had been tried before by alien species, and they were destroyed just as quickly as manned ships. As for military backup, Elena was convinced that approaching the ship with weapons would trigger its defensive systems regardless of who was on board. "Elena, please reconsider," Dr. Park pleaded through the shuttle's communication system. "We could lose our best researcher to this madness, and we could miss the discovery of a lifetime if we don't try," Elena replied, starting the shuttle's engines. "Besides, everything we've learned suggests that this ship specifically avoids harming humans. I'm betting my life on that pattern holding true." As Elena's shuttle slowly separated from the research station, she could feel the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. 43 alien ships had approached this mysterious vessel over the centuries, and none of their crews had survived. She was about to become either the first living being to make contact with the ship, or victim number 40-4. The shuttle's instruments tracked her steady approach toward the ancient vessel. At 50 kilometers away, Elena held her breath, remembering that most alien ships had been destroyed at this range. Her heart pounded as she waited for energy beams to tear her small craft apart. Nothing happened. At 30 kilometers, Elena began to allow herself a small hope that her theory might be correct. The mysterious ship remained dark and silent, showing no signs of powering up its devastating weapon systems. At 10 kilometers, something incredible occurred. For the first time in recorded history, the ancient vessel showed signs of life that weren't immediately followed by destruction. Lights began flickering along its hull, and Elena's instruments detected massive power fluctuations coming from inside the ship. "Elena, we're reading huge energy spikes from the vessel," Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the radio. "Maybe you should back away while you still can." But Elena was transfixed by what she was seeing. The lights on the ship's hull weren't the angry red glow that alien survivors had described. Instead, they were a soft blue color that seemed almost welcoming. More importantly, she could see that weapon ports along the ship's surface remained firmly closed. At 5 kilometers, the most shocking thing of all happened. A section of the ship's hull began to iris open, revealing a docking bay that was clearly designed for a vessel the size of Elena's shuttle. It was an invitation. "My God," Elena whispered, hardly believing what she was seeing. "It's opening up for me." "Elena, don't you dare dock with that thing," came Dr. Park's panicked voice over the radio. "We have no idea what's waiting inside." But Elena was already maneuvering her shuttle toward the docking bay. Every instinct told her that this was the moment everything would change. Whatever was inside that ship had been waiting for someone like her, and she wasn't about to waste this opportunity. As her shuttle passed through the energy barrier sealing the docking bay, Elena felt like she was crossing into another world. The bay itself was enormous, large enough to hold dozens of ships her size. But what caught her attention immediately was how everything seemed designed for human proportions. The ceiling height, the width of the corridors she could see leading deeper into the ship, even the control panels visible along the walls, all of it looked like it had been built by humans, for humans. But that was impossible. This ship was thousands of years older than human space travel. Elena's shuttle settled onto a landing platform that seemed to have been waiting specifically for her arrival. As the docking process completed, she could see through the shuttle's windows that the bay was pressurizing with a breathable atmosphere. Her instruments confirmed that the air outside was not only safe for humans but actually had a slightly higher oxygen content than Earth normal. "Elena, what's your status?" Dr. Chun's voice was barely audible through the ship's hull. "I'm inside the docking bay," Elena reported, amazed that she was still alive to say those words. "The ship has provided atmosphere and artificial gravity. Everything appears designed for human physiology." After running every safety check she could think of, Elena finally opened her shuttle's hatch and stepped onto the ancient vessel. The first thing that struck her was how clean everything was. Despite being thousands of years old, the ship showed no signs of age or decay. The metal floors gleamed as if they had been polished yesterday, and the soft lighting made the entire space feel warm and inviting. Elena walked toward what appeared to be the main exit from the docking bay. As she approached, the doors slid open silently, revealing a corridor that stretched into the heart of the ship. The walls were lined with the same strange symbols that Dr. Kim had identified as ancient human writing, but now Elena could see them up close, and they seemed to glow faintly as she passed. The corridor led to what could only be described as the ship's central hub. It was a vast spherical chamber with walkways and platforms arranged at different levels. At the center of it all was a column of light that stretched from floor to ceiling, pulsing gently with the same blue glow Elena had seen on the ship's exterior. As Elena stepped into the chamber, something extraordinary happened. The column of light began to shift and change, forming patterns that almost looked like they were trying to communicate with her. Then, without warning, a voice spoke from all around her. "Welcome home, daughter of Earth." Elena nearly jumped out of her skin. The voice was warm and distinctly human, speaking perfect English with no trace of an accent. It seemed to come from the ship itself. Who are you?" Elena managed to ask, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. "I am the guardian of this vessel," the voice replied. "I've been waiting for one such as you for a very long time. You are the first of your kind to find me in over 2,000 years. Elena's mind raced with questions, but one stood out above all others. "Are you human?" "I was once," the voice said with what sounded like sadness. "Now I am something more and something less, but that is a story for later. First, you must understand why you are here and why this ship has protected itself from all others while waiting for your arrival." The chamber around Elena began to change, with holographic displays appearing in the air around her. She could see star maps, technical diagrams, and images of worlds she didn't recognize. But underlying it all was a sense of purpose that had been driving this ship across the galaxy for millennia. "This vessel was built by your ancestors," the Guardian explained. "Built in a time when humanity reached heights of achievement that your current civilization cannot imagine. We traveled the stars long before your recorded history began." Elena stared at the holographic displays in amazement. "That's impossible. Humans only developed spaceflight a few hundred years ago. The humans you know are not the first to reach for the stars," the Guardian said gently. "And if I've succeeded in my mission, they will not be the last." Elena felt her legs give out beneath her as the Guardian's words sank in. She found herself sitting on the floor of the vast chamber, staring up at the swirling column of light that had just turned her understanding of human history upside down. "You're telling me that humans had space travel thousands of years ago?" Elena asked, her voice barely a whisper. "That's impossible. We have archaeological records going back that far. There's no evidence of any advanced technology." The Guardian's presence seemed to grow warmer, more understanding. "The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, as your scientists like to say. Tell me, Elena Vasquez, what do you know about the Great Silence?" Elena's breath caught in her throat. The Great Silence was a mystery that had puzzled archaeologists for decades. Around 3,000 years ago, there was a sudden and complete gap in human historical records across multiple ancient civilizations. No cave paintings, no written records, no artifacts, nothing for almost 200 years. Most scientists assumed it was due to some kind of natural disaster or climate change. "You know about the Great Silence?" Elena said, not really asking. "I know about it because I lived through it," the Guardian replied. "I was there when humanity made the hardest choice in its history. The choice to forget everything we had achieved, everything we had learned, and start over as a simple species on a single world." The holographic displays around Elena began to change, showing images of Earth from space, but not the Earth she knew. This Earth had massive structures orbiting it, space elevators reaching into the sky, and cities that sparkled with technology far beyond anything modern humans had achieved. "We called ourselves the First Reach," the Guardian explained as Elena watched ancient humans moving between worlds with casual ease. "For over 1,000 years, we explored the galaxy, built incredible technology, and encountered dozens of alien civilizations. We thought we were ready for anything the universe could throw at us." Elena stood up slowly, mesmerized by the images flowing around her. She could see humans living on planets with purple skies, working alongside strange alien creatures, building ships that could cross the galaxy in days rather than years. "What happened?" Elena asked. "Why did it all end?" The holographic displays shifted to show something that made Elena's blood run cold. Massive ships unlike anything she'd ever seen were attacking human colonies. These weren't like the alien vessels she knew from current galactic politics. These ships were enormous, dark, and moved with a purpose that spoke of complete destruction. "We encountered something we weren't prepared for," the Guardian said, and for the first time, Elena could hear fear in its voice. "An ancient race that had been sleeping in the dark spaces between galaxies? Our expansion into their territory woke them up, and they decided that all younger species were a threat to their dominance." Elena watched in horror as human colonies were systematically destroyed. The attackers showed no mercy, wiping out entire worlds without any attempt at communication or negotiation. "The Devourers, we called them," the Guardian continued. "They didn't want to conquer us or enslave us. They wanted to erase us completely, along with every other intelligent species they could find. They had done it before, many times, across countless galaxies. How did humanity survive?" Elena asked, though she was beginning to understand. "By becoming invisible," the Guardian said sadly. "The Devourers were incredibly advanced, but they had one weakness. They identified threats by looking for signs of technological advancement. Starships, energy signatures, advanced communications, these things drew their attention like a beacon." The images around Elena showed the desperate final years of the First Reach. Humans were abandoning their colonies, destroying their own technology and retreating back to Earth, but even that wasn't enough. The Devourers had already identified Earth as the human homeworld, the Guardian explained. They were coming to finish what they started. So humanity's greatest minds came up with the most desperate plan in our species' history. Elena watched as humans worked frantically to build something massive in the space around Earth. It looked like a combination of a shield generator and some kind of memory device. "The memory veil," the Guardian said. "A planetary defense system that would hide Earth from the Devourers by making humanity appear primitive and harmless. but the cost was enormous. To power the veil and make it convincing, we had to actually give up our technology and our memories of ever having it. You erased your own civilization, Elena breathed. Not erased, hidden, stored safely until the time was right to restore it. That's where ships like this one come in. We built 12 Guardian vessels and sent them into deep space before activating the memory veil. Our mission was to survive the dark ages that would follow and watch over humanity until it was safe to emerge again. Elena looked around the chamber with new understanding. You've been protecting the knowledge of the First Reach all this time. More than just knowledge, the Guardian said. I contain the memories, the culture, the very souls of the greatest human civilization that ever existed. Every scientific discovery, every work of art, every moment of triumph and tragedy from 1,000 years of human expansion across the stars. The holographic displays shifted to show the other Guardian vessels scattered across the galaxy. Some were still active, their lights pulsing steadily. Others appeared dark and lifeless. What happened to the others? Elena asked. Time is the enemy of all things, the Guardian said with deep sadness. Some fell to accidents, others to alien attacks despite our defenses. A few simply wore out after millennia of waiting. I am the last Guardian still fully operational. Elena felt the weight of history pressing down on her. She was standing inside a repository of human achievement that spanned thousands of years and millions of lives. The responsibility was overwhelming. The Devourers, Elena asked, are they still out there? Unknown, the Guardian replied. We haven't detected their presence for over 1,500 years. They may have moved on to other galaxies, or they may simply be sleeping again. But modern humanity has reached a critical point. The displays around Elena showed current human space exploration, the colonies, the starships, the growing presence across multiple star systems. Your people are becoming visible again, the Guardian explained. Your technology is advancing rapidly, and your expansion into space is accelerating. Soon, you will reach the same level that attracted the Devourers. Attention the first time. Elena's heart sank as she understood the implications. We're going to make the same mistake again. Not if I can help it, the Guardian said firmly. That's why I've been waiting for someone like you. Elena, someone with the knowledge and courage to help humanity prepare for what's coming. The first Reach fell because we were caught unprepared. But this time, we have the advantage of experience. Elena looked at the column of light that housed the Guardian's consciousness. What are you asking me to do? Help me wake up humanity's true heritage? The Guardian replied. The knowledge stored in this ship could advance your civilization by thousands of years almost overnight. We could build defenses that would make the Devourers think twice about attacking. We could prepare humanity for threats that your people can't even imagine yet. Elena felt the weight of the decision bearing down on her. Accept, and she would be responsible for changing the course of human history. Refuse, and humanity might face the same extinction that nearly claimed them 3,000 years ago. I need time to think, Elena said. Time is the one thing we may not have, the Guardian warned. But I have waited this long. I can wait a little longer for the right person to make the right choice. As Elena stood in the ancient chamber, surrounded by the preserved memories of humanity's greatest civilization, she realized that her next decision wouldn't just affect her own life. It would determine the future of the entire human race. Elena spent 3 days aboard the Guardian ship, and with each passing hour, the weight of the decision grew heavier. She had seen wonders beyond imagination, libraries containing the knowledge of 1,000 worlds, technology that could solve every problem facing modern humanity, and weapons that could protect Earth from threats she never knew existed, but she had also seen the price of such knowledge. The Guardian had shown her recordings of the First Reach's final days, when desperate humans had to choose between preserving their civilization and preserving their species. The choice they made haunted every corner of this ancient vessel. You're troubled, the Guardian observed as Elena sat in what had once been the ship's main laboratory. Around her, holographic displays showed technological blueprints that could revolutionize human medicine. Engineering and space travel. How can I not be? Elena replied, running her hands through her hair. You're asking me to make a decision that could change everything. What if I'm wrong? What if bringing back this knowledge leads humanity down the same path that nearly destroyed us before? The Guardian's presence seemed to settle around her like a warm blanket. I've had 3,000 years to think about that same question, Elena, and I've reached a conclusion that might surprise you. Elena looked up at the column of light that housed the Guardian's consciousness. What conclusion? The first reach wasn't destroyed because we became too advanced, the Guardian said. We were destroyed because we became too isolated. We spread across the galaxy, but we forgot to stay connected to each other. We became so focused on our individual achievements that we lost sight of our common humanity. The holographic displays around Elena shifted to show images of the first reach at its height. She could see humans on dozens of different worlds, each colony developing its own culture, its own priorities, its own version of what it meant to be human. When the Devourers came, the Guardian continued, we couldn't coordinate our defenses, because we had stopped thinking of ourselves as one people. Each colony tried to save itself, and in doing so we all nearly perished. Elena studied the images more carefully. Now that the Guardian had pointed it out, she could see the divisions. The humans on one world had modified themselves to breathe different atmospheres. Those on another had developed technology that was incompatible with standard human equipment. Slowly but surely, humanity had been fragmenting into dozens of separate species. Your modern civilization is different, the Guardian observed. Despite being spread across multiple star systems, you've maintained your connections to each other. Your communication networks span the galaxy, your cultures share common values. You've learned from our mistakes without even knowing you were doing it. Elena stood up and walked to one of the viewing ports that looked out into space. In the distance, she could see the research station where her team was waiting for her return. They had been sending increasingly worried messages, but Elena had asked for time to think, and they were respecting her wishes. There's something else I need to know, Elena said. Why me? Out of all the humans in the galaxy, why did you choose me to make this decision? I didn't choose you, the Guardian replied. You chose yourself. You're the one who saw the pattern in the ship's behavior. You're the one who risked everything to come aboard. And most importantly, you're the one who's spent the last 3 days asking the right questions instead of just being impressed by our technology. Elena had to admit that was true. While the Guardian's knowledge was incredible, what had really captured her attention was the story of the First Reach's failures, how they had become so focused on advancement that they forgot wisdom, how they had become so powerful that they forgot humility. The other Guardian ships, Elena asked. What happened to their chosen successors? The Guardian was quiet for a long moment. They made different choices. Some tried to restore the First Reach exactly as it was, believing that greater technology would solve every problem. Others decided that the knowledge was too dangerous and tried to bury it forever. None of them found the balance between progress and wisdom. Elena nodded slowly. She was beginning to understand what the Guardian was really asking of her. This wasn't about just releasing ancient technology into the world. It was about finding a way to help humanity grow stronger without losing the qualities that made them human in the first place. Show me the current state of human expansion, Elena requested. The Guardian projected a map of known space, highlighting every human colony, space station, and exploration vessel. Elena studied it carefully, noting how humanity was spreading outward from Earth in a careful, measured way. Unlike the frantic expansion of the First Reach, modern humans were taking time to establish strong foundations before moving to new territories. We're different this time, Elena said finally. We're not just running toward the stars. We're walking toward them, making sure each step is solid before taking the next one. Exactly, the Guardian agreed. And that gives me hope that humanity is finally ready to reclaim its heritage without repeating its mistakes. Elena made her decision. I'll do it. But not the way you might expect. She turned away from the viewing port and faced the Guardian directly. I won't take all of this knowledge back at once. That would overwhelm humanity and probably cause the same problems the first Reach faced. Instead, I want to become a bridge between the past and the future. What do you mean? Elena gestured to the vast repository of knowledge surrounding them. This ship becomes a school. We bring small groups of humans here, carefully selected from different fields and different worlds. They learn what they need to know when they need to know it. We guide humanity's advancement instead of just dumping everything on them at once. The Guardian considered this proposal for several minutes. It would take much longer than simply sharing everything immediately. Good, Elena replied firmly. The first Reach tried to do everything too quickly and it nearly destroyed them. We'll do it right this time, even if it takes centuries. And what about the Devourers? If they return while humanity is still growing, Elena smiled. Then we'll be ready for them in a way the first Reach never was. Not just with better weapons or stronger shields, but with the wisdom to use them properly. A united humanity that remembers both its achievements and its failures. The Guardian's presence seemed to pulse with something that felt like approval. You would give up your old life to become the keeper of this knowledge? I'm not giving up my life, Elena corrected. I'm beginning the most important work any human has ever done. I'll train others to help me, to eventually replace me. This won't be about one person making all the decisions. It'll be about creating a system that can guide humanity for as long as necessary. Then you accept the responsibility? Elena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of 3,000 years of history settling on her shoulders. I accept it. But I accept it as a teacher, not as a ruler. The future of humanity should be decided by humans, not by the ghosts of our past. The Guardian ship began to change around Elena. Systems that had been dormant for millennia came online. The vessel transformed from a tomb of lost knowledge into a living center of learning. Elena felt herself changing too, as the Guardian shared with her the skills and understanding she would need for the task ahead. Welcome to your new life, Elena Vasquez, the Guardian said. May you succeed where we failed. Elena looked out at the stars, knowing that she was about to embark on the longest and most important journey in human history. Somewhere out there, humanity was taking its first steps back toward greatness. And this time, they would do it right. The ancient ship that had once terrified aliens across the galaxy had finally found its true purpose. It would no longer be a weapon of destruction, but a beacon of hope for the future of the human race.